Hi, everybody. I am back and I am with Kyla, who I just love and adore so much. And if you don't know her yet, then you're going to love and adore her too. And I can't wait for everybody to just hear more about you, Kyla, and for them to hear the opportunity that exists with how you help people and what it is that you do. So I always think people tell their own story best. I want to hand it right over to you and ask you, what is the work that you're doing in the world right now and why? Like, why are you doing this work? Why are you loving it?
Okay, great. So I work with clients in primarily somatic breathwork, but a lot of embodiment work and empowerment work. And I do this a lot through breathwork. I do it through other modalities as well. And this was completely unknown to me. Like 5 years ago, I was working as a personal trainer and in like a totally other world. But the whole time there was this knowing that like there's something more. Like this is so surface level. There's something more. Hearing my clients talk about what they wanted to change in their body, but then starting to tell me stories of their life and what's going on day to day. And I had this knowing of like, it's not your body. Like it's not at all the problem that you think it is, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to access that. I knew nothing. And anyways, as it always goes, I found breathwork, or breathwork found me, and that opened the door to somatic work, which I also did not know what that was. And it just opened this whole doorway of me getting to know myself deeper, like in my body tissues, and seeing what was unfolding in terms of like my evolution as a human and healing aspects of myself that I felt friction in, but didn't really know what it was. It was kind of those areas of life where I was like, everything's fine, but it's not great. And then discovering what that was, what wasn't fine and what is great. And it's been this like wild journey. And now I get to walk people through it and share with them in that. And so it's both like, there's a lot of healing that happens, but it's also like really exciting and expansive and empowering and creates this whole new opening to what life can actually look like.
And I think what you just shared there is so fascinating because you were sharing that in the personal training. What I heard, this isn't directly what you said, is that people were wanting to change like maybe their body composition, their physical body, how they looked. And you said like it's not about the body, but then it actually is about the body. And that's what your work is, right? Like, and so I'm learning from you, from really incredible women like yourself and some others, what somatic work is. I would say only in the last year is that something I'm starting to uncover for the people who are listening and they're like, okay, so what does that mean? It like is the body, but it's like inside the body, or is it outside the body? What is somatic work?
Yeah, it is such a good question. So soma means of the body, simply of the body. And so soma is our physical body. So that part of that piece that we're always trying to change in the gym, physical body, energetic body, or spiritual body, or emotional body. And a big piece I'm going to say is the emotional and energetic. And so when we're working with our soma or having somatic experiences, which can happen through, maybe someone's experienced a really powerful meditation where emotions all of a sudden came up, or a Reiki session, or a massage even, or a yoga practice. Maybe you're in a deep hip opener and all of a sudden there's emotions. That's somatic experiencing. That's somatic work that's happening there. So our subconscious is where we hold all of our stuff, all of our memories, all of our behaviors, our patterns, our thoughts, are the thoughts that we're not even conscious that we're thinking of. And they live in our tissues and in our cells. And we also have been taught, it's like a multi-layered answer, we've also been taught to not really give space or time to connect to our emotions. There's a lot of suppression, a lot of repression, and that is all energy. Speaking to the energy queen, but everything is energy. And so let's say we're little girls or little boys and we have a big emotion, a big sad, but our family circle, our community doesn't really know how to be with that. So they stifle it. And so that energy of that big sad gets locked in. We then further learn to not have those big sad emotions, or at least not show them. So every time those get locked in, and then our body is holding the memories of these entrapped emotions, in stuck, frozen emotions. And so somatic work allows us to come out of here, out of the thinking, and into the body, and starting to access those frozen, trapped, locked emotions, and have some movement, clear some space, so that there's actually room to find why, right? Why sad? Big sad. Okay, why sad? And we can start to thread down and discover why. It might not be instantaneous. It might take a long time. It might be instantaneous. There might be this whole, like, I know exactly what that is. But it's the invitation to actually start working with our body, which is where everything is stored. It's not stored here. This is our logical, logical survival, education, planning, that's all here. Survival, it's here, but everything else is here, and we've just been taught to neglect it. So somatic work brings us back into the spaces where I think our wisdom lives.
Mm. Yeah, I think you just said it so well. And it can, I think for people like, if you're like, oh, I don't know if I have got trapped emotions or not. I know for myself, I can only speak for myself, it's like, it can show up as, what, it doesn't matter how much yoga I do, my back is tight. Oh, why? Because it's not my physical muscles necessarily. It's like you can do all the yoga in the world, but if there's energetic, emotional tightness there, like hold on, hold on, hold on, then that's where you get to come in and say, listen, we can do all of the live long stretching all live long day. And we might have to look at going a little bit deeper of like, why is this there? And I love that that's the work that you're able to help people with, is like, we don't have to live in pain or in like just like it's not great enough. Like you said, things might not necessarily be wrong, but if you're looking at like, oh, it seems like they're living a really aligned life and they're doing what they love, and I know I want that, why can't I access it? It's like you said, it's not like you logically can't dream up that life's available for you. There might be something holding you back in the body, in the emotions.
Well, and it's exactly like you when you educate on manifestation. It's not about the thinking.
Right.
Right? Like we can do so much mindset work on a certain thing, but like you can mindset your way, you could go forever mindsetting. If you're not accessing the ability to feel, you're not going to get there. And anyway, I really could, like, I'm going to take up an hour if we start really opening that rabbit hole.
Okay, so let's talk about this. People are listening to this. They're like, oh, I've never heard of you before. I've never seen you before. I'm curious. What does it look like to work with you? Like, how do you do somatic work with people?
Yeah. So a lot of my work is online, which is beautiful, and it allows me to connect with people all over. Some of my work is in person, but right now I am actually moving into 2024. I'm working with people primarily in a one-on-one, not really doing any more group stuff. And so I really like to deepen with clients. Even when I was personal training, I wouldn't sell just a one personal training session. We can't get much done there. So 12 weeks is the shortest amount of time I'll work with a client. And then I also have a year offering. And so some of it's dialogue. If we're on a Zoom, just like you and I are, there's going to be dialogue, almost similar to talk therapy. I'm going to just inquire what's going on. I'm going to ask you, in various different ways to tune into the body and notice what you notice, right? Sometimes there might be constriction. I feel really, really tight in the back of my right shoulder. Interesting. Okay. We're going to start to unfold and go into that with some questions and maybe some movement, or maybe even exaggerating the contraction that you feel to see what comes up there. There's so many ways that we can inquire, but I think what is interesting for some people sometimes is like, it's a slow inquiry. Trauma is too much, too soon, too fast. Something happened really fast, body stores it. And so the way to access that is not hot and heavy coming in that same too much, too soon, too fast. It's slow. It's allowing your body and that part of your body that is flaring up or showing you that something's wrong, inviting it into a place where maybe for the first time it's actually felt safe. And so maybe maybe it isn't it's not going to be in one session that we're going to get to the root. It takes safety between like myself and my client. They need to feel really, really held. And then once we start unfolding and unraveling things, that might sound like, ooh, I don't know if I really want to unravel a bunch of those things. What happens when we start to unravel those old wounds or memories or patterns or behaviors is whatever power it held over us, we've just taken back instantly. And then all of a sudden, like, you have more of you back. There's more energy back. You're now not in that victim space. You're on the other side. You're like, I got this. And maybe that's the first time ever you felt like, I got this. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So one-on-one is a primary way that you can work with me. And if that's not right for someone, I work with people in a group space inside of the Essentials, which started as a membership, and I've decided it's more of a mastermind. And it's the bee's knees, and we do somatic practices together. We breathe together. We drop in this community together. We have over 200 practices. You can go in and jump into meditation or breath or movement, whatever you need. Guest educators, it's a whole vibe. And so that is the space that I work with people in community, in a group setting.
And it's so cool too, because it's all accessible through an app. So it's just
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter where you're at, you're on a plane and you need to meditate and calm down. Cool. You're on the beach and want to do some stretches. It's there. Like, it's all accessible right from an app.
Yeah, I love that. It's so fun. Yeah, just on the Kajabi app, which is free.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. For people who are watching or you're listening, wherever you're finding this conversation, we are going to get direct links from Kyla. We're going to come back and ask, like, okay, what are the offers right now? Where can we find you? What's your Instagram, your website, all of that. We're going to switch gears for a moment. And I've got some questions for you about platinum.
Oh, yes. Okay, great.
Okay. Now, you've been in two very different iterations of platinum, because up until 2023, we did it very differently. And then 2023, we rearranged what platinum looked like. And I personally love it way more than it ever used to be this past year, and how it's moving forward. And, we're going to meet weekly, and we're going to be a lot more business focused than in the past. It was, I find, just maybe more like mindset coaching. And so in this past year of being in platinum, what has been your favorite part of it?
So it's interesting. When the switch happened, I was almost, change can be sad for people. The change moving from 2022 into 2023, there was a moment where I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. I think I'm going to miss the way that it was. And then what I found is the connection point every week was so important. It's so easy to have one call or one conversation and feel excited and lit up about it. And then to go, a couple weeks maybe without more of that energy, things can deflate really easily. I'm a big fan of being in the space of expanders, and you and Kyla are expanders, and the community inside Platinum is an expansion for me. And so having those connection points every single week was so helpful. So helpful. Yeah. So it's funny to think that I was nervous and not wanting it to change, and then actually really, really loving the change at the end. Not even at the end, in the beginning.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah. And, changes, it was scary for us too. And it was really our intention. I said this to myself whenever I want to back down and be like, okay, let's just go back to the old way, is we're going to be able to role model to people that when they want to do really hard, scary changes, and they're scared if anybody will come along for the ride, that you have to just do what's best for you. And we'll role model that. And I've seen so many people, yourself included, make major shifts in their business, and it's all going to be okay. Like, you make the shifts because it's what you, the business owner, want to do.
Yeah. And if you're not changing, like if we're not evolving, it's going to sound really dramatic. Like, if you're not evolving, you're dying. Like, what's the point? If you're just going to stay the same all the time?
Exactly. We're not here for that energy.
That's boring.
Okay. So then another question that I've been asking everybody about, and I'm so curious, and everybody has different answers, and so I find it very intriguing, is we meet weekly on a different basis. And so we've got Q&A, we've got mini masterminds, we've got mindset calls, we've got Vortex, and then we've got accelerators. Out of those, like, different touch points together as a group, which one is your favorite and why?
I've always loved Vortex days. Okay, my first answer is Vortex days. I get more done in that 4-hour chunk than like all week. And it's so funny. It's like the only reason is because I'm on a screen with other people who can see if I'm totally slacking off.
Mhm.
And it's like, why don't I just, I don't know. But it's just funny that it takes that, but it takes that.
Mhm.
And I get through, I feel so accomplished at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. I've done everything. I'm amazing. So I'm going to stick that. I'm going to stick to that. Vortex days are my favorite.
I love a good vortex day too. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, last question about platinum, then we're going to go back to you and links. And the question is, if somebody is like, they think they kind of want this, but they're unsure, and maybe they're like, oh, would I be a good fit? Like, I don't know if I see myself in this group of women, will they invite me in? Or they all seem further along than I am? Or maybe somebody's got money fear or time fear, like it's a year-long investment. That seems scary. If you had to answer like one of those fears, what would you
Mhm.
say?
Okay. So I had the money fear. I didn't have the time fear. I was really excited for the year connection, but I had the money fear. And I had actually like quit my business in personal training. I've been there for 15 years. I quit it. I was in the midst of a whole year of not working because I had found breath work, and I was like, this is it. But I didn't know how to make that a thing. So I was in a year of not working. COVID had just happened.
Mm,
I was making no money. I found another coaching company that I went into my savings, pulled the money out, invested, didn't align with them at all, was
mm,
in the collective. I was in with you two. I had just gotten to know both of you. I was falling in love with both of you. You were starting to talk about platinum. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just spent all that money on those other coaches. They're not at all what I want. So already like not earning money, having dipped into my savings. It's COVID. No one's making money. I mean, people were making money.
mhm,
I dipped back into my savings. I was like, I'm going to find a way. I asked my very best friend if I could borrow money for a deposit. She lent me the money. I found a big chunk of money in a random account that I didn't even know I had. It was like once I made that decision, things
mm,
started to unfold and like the money appeared. And and it was a no-brainer that I would make that money back. Like if I'm not earning that amount in a year, like we've got problems. We've got really big problems if I'm not earning that money back in a year.
mm,
But what was really interesting is like once I made that decision to invest in myself, there was this like new fire lit in me, this like sense of worthiness and empowerment. And that feeling has stayed. It has just stayed. And I never had it before. But it took that like leap of like, no, this is what I want. I'm actually gonna do it.
mhm.
And like money is just money. And it's just money. It's like a thing. And there's always more. And so just decide you want it, and it comes, like it just comes. You'll find a way, you'll always find a way. And it has like skyrocketed everything for me. Like I was running my own business for 15 years. I say running my own business like with big quotations. I did not know what I was doing. I was super flaily. Somehow it was like kind of a success. I probably could have made 5 times more money had I been in mentorship,
Mhm.
but I was so afraid of money. I was so afraid of investing. And being in platinum it was like I was walking around with like horse racing blinders on, and all
Mhm.
I could see was what I could see, and all I could think was this little space of like, okay, I think this is how everyone else thinks. It's not. So the blinders got blasted open, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, why didn't I think about that before? Why didn't I think about that before? How did I not think about that? Well, that's obvious. Like, of course that's going to work. And of course it worked. It just like having all of not only you and Kayla, but like all of the other women with their ideas and their
Mhm.
stories and experiences and what would work for them and what they would like as a client. And oh my God. And everything it just worked out because it does. And it always will.
It always does, and it always will. And you
Yeah.
just have to take that leap of faith on yourself.
Mhm.
It really is a trusting in self of like, okay, if I invest in myself, will I show up? Will I go to
Yeah.
the calls? Will I ask the questions? Will I do the work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Also, I have one dog right behind me and one right in front of me, and they're both snoring aggressively. Can you hear it?
Oh, I wish
Oh,
I could. I love a good dog snore.
oh, okay. I love a good dog snore too, but I felt like I just needed to vocalize that for anybody who watches this playback of if you're hearing very loud snoring, it's like one's in front of the desk and one's right behind my chair, and they're both like snoring on the same wave. It's very bizarre.
Love it. I love that.
Okay, Kyla, thank you for sharing about platinum. I want to bring it back to you.
Mm.
So we heard that you've got your mastermind, and that's weekly calls, and you drop into somatics and breath work, and that's a community experience. And then you've got these offers that are starting in January that are really high touch point, like really beautiful access to you and the work that you provide through different programs. What else do you've got going on? Like, where can people find you online? What are the programs? What's your name, your website, all that sort of stuff, so we can link everything here and everybody can reach out to you and touch base.
Okay. Thank you. So yes, the essentials is going to be how we connect in community and group. That's going to be always available, starting all the time. Just jump in and join us when you feel ready. And starting in January, I have the, oh my gosh, I'm like forgetting the order in which they go. Checking my board, the Curious, which these are all new for me, and I'm so excited about the names. The Curious is just breathwork and integration. So it's weekly calls with me, 2.5, upwards to 3 hours if needed, alternating weeks. So breathwork one week and integration the next week. And we do that for 12 weeks. So we really go deep together. The next option is the Flirt, which is mentorship, somatic exploration, embodiment work, breathwork, and integration. So again, weekly calls. So we get to know each other really, really well. And with that, like it's bringing to the call like whatever's present, right? So this isn't like I'm not guiding it, you're guiding it. Like what is up, what's up in life, what are we working through?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's 12 weeks. And then for the woman who's like, oh, I'm here for it, like I was here for platinum, we have the Claimed, and that's somatics, mentorship, embodiment, breathwork, integration for a whole year, which I'm so excited about. It's the first time I've offered this, and it feels really, really good. Spaces are really limited. I won't work with more women than I can hold space for. So all of those spaces are quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I am running a little end of year offer called the Tease, which is just 6 weeks. And it's breathwork and integration. So for women who want to explore a little bit, see what it's like to work with me, that expires December 31st. So that does have to be purchased by the end of this year to access it. And it is the lowest price point. It's like the base level of how we can work together in a one-on-one setting. And there are 2 spots left for that.
That's like the sample, the taste test.
Yeah, it's the sample perfume.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your Instagram and your website?
Instagram is the Sacred Essentials. There's an underscore there, so the Sacred _Essentials. And my website is thesacredessentials.net.
Perfect. Okay. And anything else? Anything coming out, or are we saving that share for another time?
We're going to save it for another time.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. Well, I trust that anybody who has found this on YouTube or on our podcast or wherever else that you find this, that if you haven't met Kyla yet, you go over and say hello to her and get curious about the Curious, the Flirt, the Claimed, all those different ways that you can work with her. I do have to say that my own personal experience, I do believe that everybody should have some form of coaching and some form of support in another way like this. And until I met facilitators like yourself that offered breath work and maybe EFT and different modalities like that, I would say everybody needs a coach and a counselor. And then counseling for me personally has always been a little tricky because I'm like, I can't talk about what I don't know what to talk about. But with this kind of work, it's like counseling of the soul through somatics. And so I just really think if people are like, okay, you got your counselor and you like that, I think there's also space to check out, like, what does it look like to get into healing through somatic support, maybe in addition to talk therapy. I just think it's such a beautiful way to really get in.
I agree. And it's really sweet to see there are a lot of counselors now adding that in, or at least connecting to somatic practitioners, connecting to breathwork practitioners and incorporating that. They're seeing the benefit. It's, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And I mean, your body knows, but mine doesn't know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't
I
know what you
agree.
don't know.
I
Okay.
agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I love you. And I'm sure that everybody who just comes to meet you is also going to love you and your work as well. Thank you for doing what you do and for standing up and using your own voice and helping other women and humans reclaim their voice. Cause I think that this is really the time to be doing that. I like it's not tomorrow, it's today. Like today is the
Hmm.
day. People have got to reach out and get connected with Kyla and make that happen.
Thank you. I love you too. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you, Kyla. And all the ways that you can connect with Kyla and work with her will be listed anywhere that you find this.
Yay.
Okay.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.